I was already talking for 10 minutes and I didn't have the thing on. Okay, I came up 91st Street and I wanted you to see coming up the big hill, but I didn't have it on. I hope it's on now. I dropped Pat off at work, so we're back out and I want you to get a little view. This is how I used to walk to school. I lived just right a block down. And I figured I'd do a little view. Now look at that light. I just went through a green light, and you're supposed to keep going through that red light. At first I didn't know that. In Texas you don't do that. But it's an older part of the country, so when they added a lot of the different lights and all, everything is not as perfect as if you started from scratch. Today, some of the theme, I don't want to go long. I just want some of my friends I grew up with to see the old area, and we're going to go past up to where the high school is on 76th Street. And this was a walk I made many times, back and forth to high school and also to my elementary school. Today's theme a little bit was Genesis, Abraham on a journey. I could pick up a little and talk some as we're making this ride for my friends to see. And when God told Abraham, leave your country, your kindred, your familiar surroundings, and I will make of you a great nation. I'll bless you. It's the firehouse my dad used to work at there. So Abraham went out and he settled in a new land, okay? He settled in a place that God promised. Over time, Abraham never had a son, and God had promised, if you do this, if you obey me, I'll give you a son. I'll give you many children, as many as the stars. I'd like to take this jacket off in the sand by the seashore. But as he got older, he was about 75 years old, and he started wondering, because he thought he had fulfilled his part of the deal. We refer to this sometimes as the Abrahamic covenant, the promise, the covenant God made to him. I want to get to the left. I'm going to try it right now. And so what happened was he came up with a few ideas. Maybe God intended, maybe I wasn't going to have children, even though the promise was based on children. It was a land promise. You'd inherit the promised land, and you'd have a bunch of children. And one of those children eventually will bless the whole earth. That was fulfilled through Christ. I want to go up to the next street so you see the high school. So over time, Abraham thought, maybe I'll count a slave in my home, and I'll just count him as the slave's name was Eleazar, sort of like a rite you can do back then. And he said, maybe that's the promise. Maybe that's what God meant. But it wasn't. God said, no, that's not what I meant. And then eventually Abraham got older, still didn't have any kids. And he had a child with the handmaid, or with the servant. Her name was Hagar. This is all in the book of Genesis. And Hagar had a child, a son, by the name of Ishmael. And the Arab world and the Muslims, they look to Ishmael as their forefather, okay? This is a big division in our world today, okay, between different groups. But this son Ishmael, Abraham loved him very much. And he was about 12 years old. And Abraham thought, see, God's going to fulfill the promise. I had a son. It's his physical son, Ishmael. But it wasn't the son of Sarah, which was Abraham's wife. And God appeared again to Abraham many years after he had the promise from God. And he said, Sarah's going to have a son. And Sarah laughed when she heard about it. There's a debate. Did she laugh out of joy or out of doubt? Here's the high school, but she laughed. She was heard in the tent, I believe, laughing. And Abraham's, that's the high school, everybody. Okay? This is for my old friends. There's North Bergen High School. Okay? You've seen a nice view. So, Abraham wanted that son Ishmael to be the son, because he loved him. God said to Abraham, I'll bless him, and I'll bless him, I'll make him a great people as well. Okay? That's the Arab world, people. God said, I will bless them. I will bless them too. But the promise is going to be through Isaac. And Sarah had a son called Isaac. And there was friction in the home. And eventually, Hagar and the son Ishmael had to be separated. Now, Paul used it, they had to leave. And Paul uses this as an example in the book of Galatians, not in a natural heritage way, which a lot of preachers make that mistake, but in a way where he says those who are under the law is actually referring to his ethnic Jewish brothers who would not believe in the Messiah. See, it's not an ethnic argument. Many preachers use that today. But he said, he said Ishmael, spiritually, were those who did not accept Jesus as the Messiah. And it wasn't an ethnic thing. Paul was making the argument about Jewish brothers. It's so important to understand that. I taught that in the past. We're on Bergen Line Avenue. I might hang a right and go to around the park here, through the park. So you could see the view. But either way, I could teach that, and I've done it before. Isaac then eventually has a son, and there's more to this story too. But Isaac has Jacob, okay? And Jacob becomes, God changes the name of Jacob. I'll go this way and tell a little story. That's Hudson County Park, that's the lake. And God changes the name of Jacob. And the name Jacob meant supplanter, like a trickster. And God changed his name to Israel, prince with God and man. And that's where the name Israel comes from. And then you have the 12 sons, the 12 children, which were the 12 tribes of Israel. And eventually, through one of those tribes, the tribe of Judah, Jesus would be born many years later. And God will fulfill the promise to Abraham that through one of his sons, the whole world would be blessed. And that son came from the tribe of Judah, and Jesus blessed the whole world. You know, as a young kid, I was riding, look at this stop sign, okay? That's Kennedy Park. I had a Mustang. Now, I had no driver's license. I was 16. But I was fixing up that car for when I would have a license, which was coming up. And it was a 67 Mustang. It wasn't nice like the one I had in Texas. But I bought it for $100 from a cop on a side street here in town. And I think I'll go left here. And I ran that stop sign. At night, when my father was on duty, I took old license plate out of the garage from another car, and I stuck it on that Mustang. And I'd drive around with my friends. And I was out that night, ran that stop sign. I didn't know you had to stop. I didn't know. And sure enough, a cop pulled me over, right where I just passed. And he asked for my license. I said, I don't have one. And I knew he was going to check the license plate. I said, it's a fake plate. And he said, son, you're going to jail. He was mad because he didn't expect to have a big thing like that. But you know, the same thing happened. I didn't tell him my dad's a firefighter. He found it out when he ran the name. And he was mad. You should have told me, because they let me go on that too. I mentioned the motorcycle, but dirt bike. So that happened there. That's an old memory. And now we're coming back. This is right, if I turn the camera around, which I won't, and it was a clear day, you could see the Empire State Building right from here. I've taken pictures of it before. This is a very pretty view here coming down. today you got to see, for those that don't live here anymore, you got to see your little hometown. That was the theme today. I might leave it on and just take it right through to the end here. And this is where I catch the bus when I go to New York City, right there. And from my house, where I grew up, where I'm staying now with my mom, it's just, a few minute walk. It's nothing. This is a very pretty view here. That's right on Bergen Line Avenue and Kennedy Boulevard. I did like a little circle for the first savings account I ever had was at this bank. And I think it was still called Oratani Bank. If I can go left, I will. If not, this is also the old area. But it probably looked... I'm going to go straight. So I hope you like the little, memory blast from the past. You're in, right here, I think you're already in Fairview, but all the towns are so close here. It's sort of like just one town. When you drive through all of them, West New York, Union City, Guttenberg, it's kind of all like one. I could turn left here. I used to walk all of this. I haven't really done all of it this time around. But I'll go under the little... As kids, we used to throw ice off of this little bridge. Now they got a thing you can't throw ice. But we'd throw them down at like snowballs and all, but sometimes chunks of ice. It's dangerous. We threw them at the buses. You don't think, My sister is buried in that cemetery right there. Fairview Cemetery. At the bottom of that hill, for my Texas friends, is the Giants Stadium, where the Giants play, and also for the other team. But it's down there. It's Giants Stadium down that way. And the lights at night during games and all, you can see the lights. This is the Fairview Mausoleum. And now I'm back at the little... Did a little tour of most of the spots where as kids. And you didn't get the video of me coming up 91st because it wasn't on. I talked for about 10 minutes and I realized it wasn't on. But you'll see me going down to how steep this hill is for my Texas friends who are not familiar with it. Look at this car. No headlights and no turn signal. See, this is the top of the hill. It's a steep hill. You gotta have good brakes when you're here. And this is my little... This will be the last one. I think I'm gonna go visit Jean, my friend John's mom, and my friend John Letterula's sister, Teresa. And I asked my mom, I said, Jean is still living there, right, with Teresa? She said, yes. So I think I'm gonna go visit them, okay? And that's also the Fairview Cemetery at the end. Let me shut this and I'm going to park. Hope you like the little thing.